Hey y'all, today we're going to make a clutch purse out of a placemat, which is a great way to repurpose old mismatched linens. And it's also a great way to add a little pop of color or pattern to an outfit without overwhelming yourself. So what we're going to need is an iron set on your heat setting number 4, which is the wool setting. Always a trusty pair of scissors. A placemat. We're going to need stitch witchery, which is fusible bonding tape. A straight razor. A metallic magnetic snap closure, which can be purchased in the sewing aisle of your craft stores, some kind of embellishment for the outside, and a little bit of super glue. So let's get started. We're going to turn our placemat kind of catty corner, and we're going to fold these corners in together. And we just want the corners to touch, to match. So once we have those corners folded together, I like to go ahead and take my iron and score the edges, just because it's going to make it a little bit easier whenever we go to use that stitch witchery. We won't have to fight with it to keep those edges down. Okay, so this is what we look like so far. And the next thing we're going to do is fold up the bottom. And this is actually where we make the compartment of the purse. And so we're going to fold this. I like to have about an inch, inch and a half of this smallest corner of overlap. And this little flap right here is actually going to go inside the purse. I'm not going to fold it inside there just yet. We'll do that when we're actually ready to do the bonding tape. But I'm going to use my iron to score these edges. And my favorite thing about this project is that it's no-sew. I love no-sew projects. Okay, so this is what we look like so far. The last thing we're going to do before we start getting into the heavy work is fold this top flap down, and this is what's actually going to make this look like a purse, which I love. Love the asymmetrical closure, something kind of different, makes it not quite look like a placemat. So just score that edge, and what this is going to allow us to do is know where we need to put our snap closure, because we want to put that snap in there before we actually do the stitch witchery, because we want it to be hidden inside the purse. With our purse flap down, we can see kind of where we're going to want to put our embellishments. I'm probably going to want to put my embellishment right about there. So that's going to be my guide for where I want to put that snap closure. And these little snap closures have brads on the back. Another thing I love, no sewing. I'm committed to that. So I'm going to, with my finger right there, flap. And I'm just going to mark this a little bit, give it a little pressure so I know where to make my marks. And now that I have that, I'm going to take my straight razor and punch some holes through here so we can get those brads through. And this is not an exact science. A lot of the placemats have enough texture to them that you don't have to make a good deep hole. You can just score it a little bit, and then the corners of those brads will punch through the fabric enough for you to get it through. And then with your scissors, you're just going to fold these little brad edges down and make sure they're real secure. So we have our snap for the top flap with the little brad edges on the back side. And then now that we know where that top snap is, we can measure enough to do our bottom snap. And I like to put the snaps together. They are magnetic. And use that pressure with them connected so I know that they're going to line up the right way. And so now that I have those marked, okay, and again using our scissors just to fold down those brads. And then we are in the home stretch. Okay, so our snap closures are in. Now we're going to use our stitch witchery to actually seal this shut. So just cutting little strips of the stitch witchery, and with your purse open, I like to line these along the edges. You may have to work with different lengths just to see what's going to be perfect, but I like to get these as close to those edges as I possibly can. And the side that's going to have your snap closure on it is going to be a little bit trickier. There's going to be a little bit more measuring that needs to be done to put that stitch witchery down, because you want to make sure that you're not bonding the top portion of both insides together, because then you won't actually have an opening for your purse. So just be real careful. You may have to fold it back and forth a couple times to see how that's going to work. and then folding that back close. We can see right now that there's a little bit of an overlap from my stitch witchery, which is what I was talking about. That edge is a little bit different. So I'm just going to trim that off and make sure that that's not showing. And we are ready to iron. Okay, so using your steam button on your iron, you just want to put a good amount of pressure and go along these edges here. And you want to make sure that you're keeping them good and lined up as you're ironing. Keep pressing that steam button and keep the iron moving because we don't want any scorching spots. Okay, so the bottom of our purse is together. This stuff really is the coolest stuff ever. Now for this top flap, we're going to flip our purse down and fold this inside the purse. Okay, so I'm going to do one more piece of the stitch witchery, and it's going to go underneath the flap. Make sure that it goes underneath the flap because we don't want to prevent our purse from actually being able to open. So this is going to go underneath the flap. Tuck that back down. And then get your iron out again. Don't put your hand in here while you're steaming. It will burn you. Give it a good shot of heat. The directions on the back of the stitch witchery say that it takes 10 seconds. For a thin placemat like this one that I'm using, 10 seconds is probably a good rule. If you're using something thicker, like a heavy canvas or something that has jute woven in it, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. You can try to pull apart the edges and see if it's actually fused or not, and that'll help you a lot. And then we are fused and ready. Now we're going to add our embellishment and we're done. So I picked, this is just a little piece of jewelry. These are jewelry findings. I get a lot of my embellishments from the jewelry aisle at my favorite craft stores. This one has a nice little run of that burgundy in it. And with my super glue, and I use this Loctite super glue that has the squeeze sides because I think it works so much better. I am going to, on the top of this little metal snap closure, I'm going to squeeze a little bit of the glue on there. And once your embellishment is on there, you have yourself a purse. And don't forget, if you love the products, just don't think you want to make them, you can always check out my shop on Etsy under Suddenly Crafty. See you soon.